April 7th, 2019. Well, I'm out here in the greenhouse and I was getting ready to do a foliar feed primarily on the citrus, the avocado, a lighter feed on some of these other plants here, and a pretty solid one on the two rosemary here, as well as the other ones over in the other various parts of the greenhouse. And so I was getting ready to do a foliar feed, and I was realizing that I haven't really kind of gone over how I do that. So I'm going to do an example video here with a couple of products that I use this time of year. Actually, I use them a good portion of the season, depending on what I'm doing with different crops. They are Sea Shield and Sea Stim. Sea Shield is sort of like a early season vegetative growth semi-nitrogen based fertilizer, but it also has calcium, which is necessary for building healthy, strong cell walls, among many other processes. I'll try and throw a shot of the biodynamic sequence of nutrition in plants up here, so you can get a better idea of more what I'm talking about, how this whole formula comes together. Anyway, the other product is Sea Stim. That's the one on the right, and that is derived from a kelp, basically, and it's basically to help build plant immunity and also to help set healthy, strong root systems, among other things. It's excellent stuff. So in the greenhouse, I mean, these products are designed for use on commercial farm scale stuff, so a lot of their application rates and timing type information is based more on a broad acre crop or a larger cropping system. So here in the greenhouse I have to be really careful and use really small amounts, and I'll always err on the side of caution rather than overdo a product. You can always put a second feed down, but if you overdo it, you can really slow growth a lot if you take your balance out. So I'm always very careful. To that end, I use a 5cc syringe for my measurements. With all of the products that I use here, these are all organic based products. There are no chemicals, pesticides, or chemical fertilizers or any of that sort in these. These are naturally derived products, and so they all need to be shaken extensively. So I'll take these and I'll shake these for a good minute and a half in the jug, turn them on their side, hold them between your two arms, and shake back and forth vigorously. You want to get a good uniform mix of what's in there. This one here is Sea Shield. I'll just give you a shot down into it quick, if I can line up my headlight in the camera. Okay, so that's pretty well uniformly mixed product there. They have a storage temperature range of 40 to 80 degrees out of direct sunlight, so that's why they're in here in the greenhouse over the winter when the bench is full of stuff, so there's no direct sunlight on them, and I'm able to maintain that temperature envelope. In the barn where I usually store them in the summertime for easier access, I can't control those temperatures over the winter, but it stays in that range throughout the late spring into late fall. Alright, so that's storage, and so to make measurements I go and look at their application rates and timing, and I scale that way back to more of a square footage thing, and then I try to figure the approximate square footage that I'm covering, and then I kind of have a base formula that I work from after I derive all that. If you want, put a question in the comments and maybe I can go into that, but really you should talk to AEA, or Advancing Eco Agriculture, for their recommended application rates and timing. And it's also targeted to your plant growth and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, I'm just kind of giving you an idea of how to simplify doing foliar feeds, so you can have a better general understanding of the concept. So I'll take something like this. This is about a cc or so there in the syringe. So I'll take and put a cc in the syringe into the, that's a 1 gallon watering can, and I'll take probably maybe a half a cc or even a little less of the Sea Stim and put that in. It doesn't take much of these products to do a good foliar feed to get things really rocking. It only takes a little bit of the right nutrition to really turn plants on to a level that's exciting to watch and very beneficial for the grower. Anyway, so I'll put that in, show you that quick. I'm sorry if I'm babbling a lot, but trying to give you good detail. I'll do the same with the C-stem. I'm not going to do that with the camera in my hand. And then I'll take that and we'll put it down in the bin. I'll show you that real quick so you get a good uniform mix. And then I'll show you how I do a quick foliar feed, I guess. I should also mention I always thoroughly rinse the syringe after I'm done using one product before drawing new nutrient from another product. You don't want them intermixing. You could cause a biological reaction between them or some other reaction that would destabilize them. You don't want them destabilized. You want them to work as effectively as they were designed to work. So I'm always very careful about not cross-contaminating one with another. So to do that, I typically will take it into a big bin or barrel like that. I'll rub it off, and then I'll also draw it in and out a few times, which of course is difficult to do with a camera in your hand, but I'll manage. Okay, and then I'll make sure that the remaining bit of water that's in that gets drained out both from the top and from the bottom, and that's pretty good, just to make sure it's fairly clean. Okay, I'll grab the C-stem, put that in there quick, and then we'll go from there. The reason I use a syringe, it's a great way to measure very precisely very small amounts, and you can scale the syringe to your operation. You can get all different size syringes, and they're fairly cheap, and they're long-term reusable. So that's why I use a syringe rather than teaspoons and trying to pour stuff out. You can just draw it up directly. You don't have to worry about spilling it. You just take the I guess I'll show you that quick too. You take this after you shake it up good, and you can kind of tilt it to yourself with one hand and then set the syringe in the fluid with the other and draw up the amount that you need. Of course you could transfer this into an easier container. I just work from the ones that come in because they're excellent for shaking. Alright, I think that's the basics. I guess I'll just show this quick as well. The other benefit of the syringe is you can draw up too much and not worry about it, and then you can very easily, with precision, dump off what you don't want. I'm going to say that's about a half a cc, and put that in here as well. And we'll rinse it out. And then I'll finish rinsing that more later. And then I like to do, when you can, a plunge, or you can put a hose in and fill it however you got to fill it. But I like the plunge method because you get nice turbulent flow into the container, and that gives you a pretty uniform mix right off the bat. Of course, just to be sure that we have a uniform mix, I take a stirrer of some sort. This is my fire poking tender, but I find it also works well for stirring. And you give it a good stir. Make sure it's well agitated, uniformly mixed. Alright, now we'll foliar feed. So this is going to be a little tricky for me with the camera in hand, but I'll do my best. So a foliar feed means just that. I feed on the foliar surface of the plant. The foliar surface of the plant is the leaves. So what we're going to try to do here, if I can control the tilt a bit, I think I got it, is we'll just do a good foliar feed, and I do a light drench. You see the soil gets a little bit wet on that, and you want to cover the entire leaf surface of every plant that you're feeding, as well as the soil surface. And I'm going a little bit generous here tonight, but we're starting to get into higher temperatures, and we've got our plant health turned around a bit, and we're getting a little more light now, so I'm going to make sure they get a good shot. And especially these plants are more mature, so they can take a little bit more than less mature plants. Now if you're doing seedlings, you want to go much lighter than that. Again, consult the actual mixing requirements for the products you're using. I'm not here to tell you what ratios to mix anything at. I'm just demonstrating what I do. And then let's see, we'll come back, we'll hit the holy basil quick, and some of these other plants till this can runs out. Texas tarragon, the other pepper, the other Texas tarragon, Okay, that's out. And then rinse and repeat, literally. Anyway, that's how I do foliar feeds. That's just the basics of the mechanics of it. And it's super effective for accelerating plants. You're targeting accelerating photosynthesis and making sure that plants have adequate nutrition, including trace mineral content, directly present in and on the surface of the soil, in and on the surface of the roots, in and on the surface of the leaves. And when you do that, you get tremendous growth. Again, I just pruned this back, well, really about 6 days ago, if I recall correctly. And I mean, a complete prune back, and this is all new growth since then. I did a prune back and a foliar drench immediately with just Sea Shield, and you can see the results are very obvious. Every one of these pieces that I pruned back, you can still see almost a fresh cut mark on some of these. That's all new growth coming out there. That's a couple of inches already in 6 days. So when I say accelerated growth, I'm not kidding. You can really crank it up. And it's well worth doing because it's the least amount of material put on the plant and on the soil for the most beneficial gain, and you're targeting specific trace mineral deficiencies when you get a better understanding of it. And so if a plant's out of balance, you can put it back in balance, and you know that gets more complex, but it's something you can achieve, and it's an excellent tool to use in your healthy plant toolbox, so to speak. So that's that for now, I guess. I hope this helps someone. If you have questions or comments, please do so down below. I'm always happy to answer questions or make additional videos to cover additional details. Thanks for watching the Farmacy Seeds Network. One last thing. So I've done a foliar feed drench on pretty much everything in here. Foliar feed should be done in the late evening or early morning, so that the plants don't get burned as a result of the nutrition you're putting on them. Once it dries on, then they're usually okay. So evenings and mornings. Also, I prefer evenings because plants do a majority of their actual growth between 4 and 8 a.m. in the morning. And so if you give them that foliar feed in the evening the night before, they have that nutrition readily available first thing when they start their big growth spurt. And so you're giving them the most gain at the most beneficial time. Alright, I think that's it for now. Thanks for watching the Farmacy Seeds Network.